The TV show 1000 Ways to Die explored the science behind the deaths of individuals that were reckless, fascinating, and absolutely ridiculous. What made the show appealing was the dark humor that lightened the tone of otherwise depressing and disgusting events. 101 Ways to Die, developed by 4 Door Lemons, shares a similar idea. The difference is the game shuns the science behind the deaths and makes you the scientist instead, and coats it in an art style that resembles Plants vs. Zombies garden warfare. As the assistant to a lunatic professor, you help him recreate his book on 101 ways to kill his subjects that was lost in an explosion. He wants you to combine various traps to obliterate, smash, burn, and impale creatures called splats and recreate deadly combinations so he can record them. There are 6 lab rooms to get through with a number of levels in each, though there are only 3 in the preview. Each room builds on tactics and strategies introduced from completed rooms and increases in difficulty. You're assigned a number of traps in each level and you have to place them in opportune spots to force the splats into your traps. You might receive any combination of mines, bumpers, harpoons, cannons, slippery goop, or even teleporters, among other things not shown in the preview. Once you've set your traps, the splats will walk in their predetermined path, and if you set them correctly, you will witness lots of bloody mayhem. But you have to complete the stated objectives. If you don't, you will have to retry. One example of an objective is to make a splat step on a mine and blow it up into spikes. Many levels also require specific timing on top of proper placement of objects. A lot of trial and error goes into making the splats do what you want. You feel like a mad scientist performing the scientific method, testing what theories will hold under the scrutiny of splats living or dying on your watch. And it's exciting after you've tested theory after theory and you finally get it right. I jumped out of my chair one time after I made a boulder unintentionally bounce up and crush 2 splats, which checked off every objective and gave me the number 1 spot on the leaderboard. Every level has a leaderboard and 3 stars you can earn. You don't have to care about the leaderboards, but you do have to care about the stars. You can't progress unless you have enough stars. Earning 3 stars requires you beat the primary and optional objectives, which also gives you a very high score. A score that put me in the top 10 of the leaderboards every time. But that probably won't be the case when the game comes out. Usually missing the 3rd star was a matter of minor tweaks, so anytime I earned 2 stars, I would retry the level, make my tweaks, and try again until I got it. That was addicting. Making your way up the leaderboard can be confusing though. Sometimes I would be behind a person by 100 points, but the game doesn't explain how all the points are distributed. You know you earn points by completing objectives, but it's unclear of the other ways you might be able to tweak your setup to maximize point value. If 4 Door Lemons makes that clear, I can imagine people treating this game like racers treat time trials. The top spot on the leaderboards comes down to maximizing everything to create the fastest time. The potential for that sort of anal precision is in this game if that's your thing. Unfortunately, there are a few things that suck the fun out of the game currently. It's extremely slow. Splats walk like their feet weigh 300 pounds. You can make the game faster by holding the F key, but the fast speed should be the default speed, and the fast forward option should be faster. The speed also takes away from the impact of the kill. It's not as funny or gruesome to watch a splat slowly jump and descend on a swinging spike log, and then its body is completely butchered. And every splat death ends up with its body splitting into several pieces and blood erupting from its body. If a splat is rolled over, butchered. If it's blown up, obliterated. It's repetitive and boring. There's a reason why Ragdoll is so much fun to watch, and it seems like 4 Door Lemons doesn't quite understand that in the build that I played. Even when there are deaths that make you cringe or smile in delight, you might miss those moments because you're focused on the success or failure of your traps. You can watch a replay which shows close-ups of each individual death, but that's still not enough to make up for the speed and repetition. Navigating the UI in 101 Ways to Die makes me wonder if 4 Door Lemons should have waited to release this to the press. The meat of the game flows well, but getting around the UI exercises your patience. You can zoom the camera in to see little details, but the camera first zooms into a specific point on the level, then you have to slide the camera with the WASD keys to get it in the correct spot. It would be much more efficient to zoom in on the spot where the mouse arrow is located. Another example is attempting to see which trap you might be editing. If you want to change something about a trap, there is a subtle glow, but it could be brighter. It's especially hard to see on mines because they're so thin. Speaking of editing traps, It would be more efficient to click the trap you want to edit, rather than deleting the trap and putting it back on the map the way you want it. There are other UI issues, but it would take too much time talking about them, and some are a result of the game being in beta. But the troublesome UI is a huge turnoff, and because of that, it's hard for me to recommend that you anticipate this game. What saves 101 Ways to Die from a worse recommendation are the wonderfully crafted puzzles. This is a puzzle game first, and a stylistic killing game second, so if you're into physics-based puzzle games, you have to keep your eye on this one. If you're on the fence, I can't say you would be convinced at this point, but if they can fix the issues with the UI, speed the game up, and make the stylistic deaths on par with their puzzle design, you should absolutely keep your eye on this one. Don't forget to subscribe to the Game Watcher YouTube channel, like on Facebook, and follow on Twitter.